Hello, everyone. It's Carlos.
And Bella?
Welcome back to our Wonder Reading. Before we get started, we're going to share our comic strip, our last four that we made. Go ahead.
So mine is Summer telling Augie that they can wear costumes at school for Halloween. Then I have Augie changing into Bleeding Scream. Then we have Augie high-fiving some random kid.
Good. Mine is where they're talking about Augie's face, and Jack tells him he should sue his doctor. Then I have Augie switching his costume. Then I have the Scream High Five. That's my three comic strips. So we'll go from there. We're going to pick up right where we left off last time. He was talking to two mummies who must have been Miles and Henry, and they were all kind of looking at the door like they were waiting for someone to come through it. I knew it wasn't a bleeding scream they were looking for. It was Boba Fett. I was going to go and sit at my usual desk, but for some reason, I didn't know why, I found myself walking over to a desk near them, and I could hear them talking. One of the mummies was saying, "It really does look like him, like that, like this part especially," answered Julian's voice. He put his fingers on his cheeks and eyes of his Darth Sidious mask. "Actually," said the mummy, what he, what he really looks like is one of those shrunken heads. You have to have you ever seen those? He looks exactly like that. I think he looks like an orc." "Oh yeah. If I looked like that," said said the Julian voice, kind of laughing, "I swear to God, I put a hood over my face every day." "I thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding serious, "and I really think if you look like him, seriously, I think that I'd kill myself." "You would not," answered Darcidius. "Yeah, for real." Instead of this insisted the same mummy. "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful, and getting stared at all the time." "Then why do you hang out with him so much?" asked Darcidius. "I don't know," answered the mummy. "Tushman asked me to hang out with him at the beginning of the year, and he must have told all his teachers to put us next to each other in all our classes or something." The mummy shrugged. I knew the shrug, of course. I knew the voice. I knew I wanted to run out of the classroom then and there, but I stood there. I stood where I was listening to Jack Will finish what he was saying. I mean, the thing is, he always followed me around. What am I supposed to do? "Just ditch him," said Julian. I don't know what Jack answered. I don't know what Jack answered because I walked away of the class without anyone knowing I had been there. My face felt like on it was on fire, and I walked back down the stairs. I was sweating under my costume, and I started to cry. I couldn't keep it from happening. The tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see, but I couldn't wipe them through the mask as I walked. I was looking for a little tiny spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole to fall I could fall inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up.
Names: Rat Boy, Freak, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizardface, Mutant. I know the names they call me. I've been in enough playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I ended up in the second floor bathroom. No one was there because the first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door to my stall and took off my mask and just cried for I don't know how long. Then I went to the nurse's office and told her I had a stomach ache, which was true because I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mom and had me lie down on the sofa next to her desk. 15 minutes later, Mom was at the door. "Sweetness," she said, coming over to hug me. I mumbled. I didn't want to ask anything until afterward. "You have stomach ache?" she said, automatically putting her hand on my forehead to check my temperature. "He says he feels like throwing up," said Nurse Molly, looking at me with very nice eyes. "And I have a headache," I whispered. I wonder if it's something you ate, said Mom, looking worried. There's a stomach bug going around, said Nurse Molly. Oh, geez, said Mom, her eyebrows going up as she shook her head. She helped me to my feet. Should I call a taxi, or are you okay to walk home? I can walk.
What a brave kid, said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked up towards the door. If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor. Absolutely, said Mother, asked, shaking Miss Molly's hand. Thank you so much for taking care of him. My pleasure, answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting my face up. You take care of yourself, okay? I nodded and mumbled, Thank you, I said. Thank you. Mom and I hug walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her anything about what had happened, and later, when she asked me if I felt well enough to go trick or treating after school, I said no. This worried her since she knew how much I usually love trick or treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, he doesn't even have the energy to go trick or treating. No, no fever at all. Well, I will if he hasn't felt better by tomorrow. I know, poor thing. Imagine him missing, imagine him missing Halloween. I got out of going to school the next day too, which was Friday. So I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again. Part 2. Via. For above the world, planet Earth is blue. And there's nothing I can do. David Bowie. Space Oddity.
A tour of the galaxy. August is the sun. Me and Mom and Dad are planets orbiting the sun. The rest of our family and friends are asteroids and comets floating around the planets orbiting the sun. The only the only
Celestial.
celestial body that doesn't orbit August's sun is Daisy the dog, and that's only because of her little doggy eyes. Augie's face doesn't really look very different from any other human's face. To Daisy, all our faces look alike, as flat and pale as the moon. I'm used to the way the universe works. I've never minded it because it's all I've ever known. It's always understood that August is special and has special needs. If I was playing too loudly and he was trying to take a nap, I knew I would have to play something else because he needed to rest after some pro- pro-
Procedure.
procedure or other had some or other had left him weak and in pain. If I wanted Mom and Dad to watch me play soccer, I knew that 9 out of 10 times they'd miss because they're busy shuttling August to speech therapy or physical therapy or a new specialist or surgery. Mom and Dad would always say I was the most understanding girl in the world. I don't know about that. Just that I understood there's no point in complaining. I've seen August after surgery, his little face bandaged up and swollen, his tiny body full of IVs and tubes to keep him alive. After you've seen someone else go through that, it feels crazy to complain over not getting the toy you asked for or your mom missing a school play. I knew this even I knew this even when I was 6 years old. No one ever told it to me. I just knew it. So I've gotten used to not complaining, and I've gotten used to not bothering mom and dad with little stuff.
I got used to figuring things out on my own. How to put toys together. How to organize my life so I don't miss friends' birthday parties. How to stay on top of my schoolwork so I'd never fall behind in class. I've never asked for help with my homework, never needed reminding to finish a project or study for a test. If I was having trouble with subjects in school, I'd go home and study until I figured it out on my own. I taught myself how to convert fractions into decimal points by going online. I've done every school project pretty much by myself. Mom and Dad asked me how things are going in school. I've always said good, even though it wasn't always been so good. My worst days, worst fall, worst headache, worst bruise, worst camp, worst mean thing anyone has could say has always been nothing compared to what August has going through. This isn't me being noble by the way. It's just the way I know it is. And this is the way it's always been for me. For the little universe of us. But this year there seems to be a shift in the cosmos. The galaxy is changing, planets are falling out of the out of their alignment.
Before August. I honestly don't remember my life before August came into it. I look at pictures of me as a baby and I see mom and dad smiling so happily, holding me. I can't believe how much younger they looked back then. Dad was this hipster dude, and mom was this cute Brazilian fashionista. There's one shot of me at my third birthday. Dad's right behind me while mom's holding the cake up with the three lit candles, and in back of us are Tata and Papa, Grand's Uncle Ben, Aunt Kate, and Uncle Po. Everyone's looking at me, and I'm looking at the cake. You can see it in the picture how I really was the first child, first grandchild, first niece. I don't remember what it felt like, of course, but I can see it plain so it can be in the pictures. I don't remember the day they brought August home from the hospital. I don't remember what I said or felt when I saw him for the first time. Though everyone has a story about it, apparently I just looked at him for a long time without saying anything at all. And finally I said, "It doesn't look like Lily." That was the name of a doll Grams had given me when Mom was pregnant, so I could practice being a big sister. It was one of those dolls that are incredibly lifelike, and I had carried it everywhere for months, changing its diaper, feeding it. I'm told that I've even made a baby sling for it. The story goes that after my initial reaction to August, it only took a few minutes, according to Grams, or a few days, according to Mom, before I was all over him, kissing him, cuddling him, baby talking to him. After that, I never so much as touched or mentioned Lily ever again.
Seeing August. I never used to see August the way that other people see him. I know he didn't look exactly normal, but I really didn't understand why strangers seemed so shocked when they saw him. Horrified, sickened, scared. There are so many words I could use to describe the looks on people's face. And for a long time, I didn't get it. I just got mad. Mad when they stared, mad when they looked away. What the heck are you looking at? I'd say to people, even grown ups. Then, when I was about 11, I went to stay with Grants in Montuque for 4 weeks while August was having his big jaw surgery. This was the longest I've been away from home, and I have to say, it was so amazing to suddenly be free of all the stuff that made me so mad. No one stared at Grams at me when went to town to buy groceries. No one pointed at us. No one even noticed us. Grams was one of those grandmothers who had do anything for her grandkids. She'd run into the ocean if I asked her to, even if she had nice clothes on. She would let me play with her makeup, and didn't mind if I used it on her face to practice my face painting skills. She'd take me for ice cream even when we hadn't eaten dinner yet. She'd draw chalk horses on the sidewalk in front of her house. One night while we were walking back from town, I told her I wished I could live with her forever. I was so happy there. I think it might have been the best time of my life. Coming home after 4 weeks after felt very strange. At first, I remember very vividly stepping through the door and seeing August running over to welcome me home. And for this tiny fraction of a moment, I saw him not the way I've always seen him, but the way others see him.
It was only a flash and an instant while he was hugging me, so happy that I was home. but it surprised me because I'd never seen him like that before, and I felt what I was feeling before, either a feeling I hated myself for having the moment I had it, but he was kissing me with all his heart, all I could see was the drool coming down from his chin. And suddenly there I was, like all those people who would stare or look away, horrified, sickened, scared. Thankfully, that only lasted for a second. The moment I heard August laugh at his rapsy laugh, it was over. Everything was back the way it had been before. But it had opened a door for me, a little peephole. And on the other side of the peephole, there were two Augusts. The one I saw blindly, and the other one people saw. I think that the only person in the world I could have told any of this to was Grans, but I didn't. It was too hard to explain over the phone. I thought maybe when she came for Thanksgiving, I'd I'd tell her what I felt. But just 2 months after I stayed with her in Mantuk, my beautiful Grans died. It was so completely out of the blue. Apparently, she had checked herself into the hospital because she had been feeling nauseous. Mom and I drove to see her, but it's a 3 hour drive from where we live. And by the time we got to the hospital, Grant was gone. A heart attack, they told us, just like that. It's so strange how one day you can be on this earth and the next day not. Where'd she go? Where did she go? Will I really ever see her again? Or is it that a fairy tale? You see movies and TV shows where people receive horrible news in hospitals. But for us, with all our many trips to hospitals August, there had always been good outcomes.
What I remember the most from the day Grans died is Mom literally crumbling to the floor in slow, heavy sobs, holding her stomach like someone had just punched her. I've never ever seen Mom like that. Never heard sounds like that come out of her. Even even though all of August's surgeries, Mom always put on a brave face. On my last day in Matute, Grans and I had walked the sunset on the beach. Watched the sunset on the beach. We we had taken a blanket to sit on, but then it had gotten chilly, so we wrapped it around us and cuddled and talked until there wasn't even a sliver of sun left over the ocean. And then Grants told me she had a secret to tell me. She loved me more than anyone else in the world. Even August, I said, I had asked. She smiled and stroked my hair, like she was thinking about what to say. I love August very, very much, she said softly. I can still remember her Portuguese accent, the way she rolled her R's, but she has many angels looking out for him. He has many angels looking out for him, Vaya. And I want you to know that you have me looking out for you. Okay, Manina? Coretta? I want you to know that you are number one for me. You are my. She looked out at the ocean and spread her hands out like she was trying to smooth out the waves. You are my everything. You understand me, Vaya? Tu es mi todo. I understand. I understood her, and I knew she was trying. What she said was a secret. Grandmothers aren't supposed to have favorites. Everyone knows that. Besides, after she died, I held one of that. I held on to that secret and let it cover me like a blanket.
August is through the peephole. His eyes are about an inch below where they should be on his face. Almost on halfway down his cheeks, they slant downward at an extreme angle, almost like diagonal slits that someone cut into his face. And the left one is noticeably lower than the right one. The bulge out toward it because his eyes
Cavity.
cavitate, cavities are too shallow to accommodate them. The top eyelids are always halfway closed, like he's on the verge of sleeping. The lower eyelids sag so much that they almost look like they're a piece of invisible string pulling them downward. You can see the red part on it on the inside, like they're almost inside out. He doesn't have eyebrows or eyelashes. His nose is dis- disproportionately disproportionately big on his face and kind of fleshy. His head is pinched in on the side where the ears should be, like someone used giant pliers and crushed the middle part of his face. He doesn't have cheekbones. There are deep creases running down both sides of his nose and to his mouth, which gives him a waxy appearance. Sometimes people assume he's been burned in a fire. His features look like they've been melted, like the drippings on the side of the candle. Several surgeries to correct his lip have left a few scars around his mouth. The most noticeable one being a jagged rash running from the middle of his upper lip to his nose. The upper teeth are small and, splay out. He has a severe overbite and an extremely undersized jawbone. He has a very small chin. When he was very little, before a piece of his hip bone was surgically implanted into his lower jaw, he really had no chin at all.
His tongue would just hang out of his mouth with nothing underneath to block it. Thankfully, it's better now. He can eat at least when he was younger. He had a feeding tube and he can talk. And he's learned to keep his tongue inside his mouth, though that took him several years to master. He'd always learned to control the drool that used to run down his neck. These are considered miracles when he was a baby and the doctor didn't think he'd live. He can hear too. Most kids born with these types of birth defects have problems with their middle ears that prevent them from hearing. But so far, August can hear well enough through his tiny cauliflower-shaped ears. The doctors think eventually he'll need to wear hearing aids, though. August hates the thought of this. He thinks that hearing aids will get noticed too much. I don't tell him that the hearing aids would be the least of his problems, of course, because I'm not sure he knows this. Then again, I'm not really sure that August does or doesn't know what he understands and doesn't understand. Does August see how the other people see him, or has he gotten so good at pretending not to see that it doesn't bother him, or does it bother him? When he looks in the mirror, does he see the August mom and dad see, or does he see the August everyone else sees, or is there another August he sees, someone in his dreams behind the mishapen face, head and face? Sometimes when I look at Grams, I would see the pretty girl she used to be underneath the wrinkles. I could see the girl from Ipanema inside the old lady's walk. Does August see himself as he might have looked without the single gene that caused the catastrophe of his face? I wish I could ask him this stuff. I wish he would tell me how he feels. He used to be easier to read before all the surgeries. You know that when his eyes squint, he was happy. When his mouth went straight, he was being mischievous. When his cheeks trembled, he was about to cry.
He looks better now, no doubt about that. But the signs we use it to
Gage.
gauge his moods are all gone. There are new ones, of course. Mom and Dad can read every single one. I'm having trouble keeping up. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to keep trying. Why can't he just say what he's feeling like everyone else? Why doesn't he doesn't have a trash tube in his mouth anymore that keeps him from talking? His jaws his jaw's not where it's shut. He's 10 years old. He can use his words. But we circle around him like he's like he's still the baby he used to be. We change plans, go to plan B, interrupt conversations, go back on promises depending on his moods, his whims, his needs. That was fine when he was little, but he needs to grow up now. We need to let him, help him, make him grow up. Here's what I think. We've all spent so much time trying to make August think he's normal, that he actually thinks normal, that he actually thinks he is normal. And the problem is he's not.
High school. What I've always loved most about middle school was that it was separated and different from home. I could go there and be Olivia Pullman, not Via, which was my name at home. Via was what they called me in elementary school too. Back when everyone knew all about us, of course. Mom used to pick me up after school, and August was always in a stroller. They weren't there weren't a lot of people who were equipped to babysit for Augie. So mom and dad brought him to all my class plays, concerts, and recitals, all the school functions, the bake sales, and the book fairs. My friends knew him. My friends' parents knew him. My teachers knew him. The janitor knew him. Hey, how do you know Augie? He'd always say, and give August the high five. Oh, hey, how you doing, Augie? He'd always say and give August the high five. August was something of a fixture at PS22. But in the middle of a lot of people who didn't know about how August, my old friend, did, of course. But my new friends didn't, or if they knew, it wasn't necessarily the first thing that they knew about me. Maybe it was the second or third thing they had hear about me. Olivia, yeah, that's nice. Did you hear she has a brother who's deformed? I always hated that word, but I knew it was how people described Augie. And I knew those kinds of conversations probably happened all the time out of my earshot. Every time I left the room at a party or bumped into a group of friends at the pizza place. And that's okay. I'm always going to be the sister of a kid with a birth defect. That's not that's not the issue. I just don't always want to be defined that way. The best thing about high school is that hardly anybody knows me at all.
Except Miranda and Ella, of course. And they know not to go around talking about it. Miranda, Ella, and I have known each other since the first grade. What's so nice is that we never have to explain things to one another. When I decided I wanted them to call me Olivia instead of Via, they got it without me having to explain. They've known August since he was a little baby. When he were little, our favorite thing to do was play dress up with Augie, load him up with feather feather boas and big hats, and Hannah Montana wings. He used to love it, of course, and we thought he was adorably cute in his own way. Ella said he reminded her of E.T. She didn't say this to be mean, of course. Maybe it was a little bit mean. The truth is, there's a scene in the movie when Drew Barrymore dresses E.T. in a blonde wig, and that was a ringer for Augie and our Miley Cyrus heyday. Throughout middle school, Miranda, Ella, and I were pretty much our own little group. Somewhere between super popular and well liked, not brainy, not jocks, not rich, not druggies, not mean, not goody goody, not huge, not flat. I don't know if the three of us found each other because we are so alike in so many ways, or that because we found each other, we've become so alike in so many ways. We were so happy when we all got into Faulkner High School. It was such a long shot that all three of us would be accepted, especially when almost no one else from our middle school was. I remember how we screamed into our phones the day we got our acceptance letters. This is why I haven't understood what's been going on with us lately. Now that we're actually in high school, it's nothing like how I thought it'd be.
Or we're gonna stop there. Make sure you get your 3 comic strips for this part of the story, and we'll see you soon. Bye.